So a question I've been getting is fasting for athletes. Fasting for athletes. The short story, or the long story short is yes, I think fasting is a great thing for athletes, but it really starts with what the goal is. And there are many different types of athletes. There's swimmers, there's soccer players, there's rugby players, there's football players, there's sumo wrestlers. I mean, all different types and variations, and thank God we can all be good at something. But when it comes to the idea of fasting and utilizing that towards athleticism and the goal, I think we just have to make sure we understand what the goal is. So fasting in the way that the Athos Diet recommends it, definitely it's possible to get all your nutrition between 4 and 8 hours a day. You can definitely eat everything you need to eat in order to be the best athlete out there, okay? Second, I think it's a very good strategy for leaning down, because a lot of us have excess weight that slows us down that we don't need, which is good. And I also think that with intermittent fasting, we can preserve the muscle mass that we have through intermittent fasting. Eating enough protein in that window, the eating window, I think can allow you also to make gains in strength. And I'm speaking in generalities here because, strength is used in all sports. Speed is used in all sports. So there's a concern for weight in all sports. But there are some sports where you're just trying to get as big and bad as possible. As I mentioned on the podcast, Eddie the Strongman, if you're a sumo wrestler, if you're an NFL football player, if that's what you're trying to do, literally just put on as much mass as possible, I don't think intermittent fasting, and specifically the way the Athos Diet recommends it, is the way to go. I think if you're in your 20s and you're just trying to be as big and bad as possible and kind of beat your body up, sure, do whatever you want, get as big and bad as you want. But if you're trying to live a long life, functional, be attractive, be useful, maybe the Athos Diet all year long, is the way to go. Now, remember also too, the Athos Diet in the most pure sense is a 48-day diet. But as I recommend, for the rest of the year, when you're not utilizing this as strictly, you're still doing the intermittent fasting part. You're still trying to eat as much protein as possible and lower the carbs. And you're still trying to stay active, at least walking, if not more. So by all means, athletes, consider the Athos Diet, do the intermittent fasting way. I think there's a great documentary out there called The Game Changers, which talks about how a lot of athletes go vegan, actually, and really thrive. Some really high-end athletes. And at the same time, for the masses, for the 8 billion of us that are just normal human beings that are just trying to stay optimal, the Athos Diet is as phenomenal as a diet as anyone could ask for, with all the health benefit that you could think of. But if you're trying to get your athleticism to the most competitive level, it really just begins with what is your goal. And the Athos Diet can definitely allow you to lean down, keep your muscle mass, give you that rehab ability, probably through growth hormone release. I always find it interesting. They say that when you refeed after intermittent fasting for a while, your testosterone levels actually increase substantially. So these cycles are always good. And I don't want anyone thinking that the Athos Diet is something that can't be reconciled with being an athlete. It definitely can. And by the way, I know there's a culture in America in particular where we try to be like the top, millionth percentile. And if you're trying to hit those numbers, maybe there's something even more optimal out there. But for the rest of us mere mortals, the Athos Diet can make us attractive, athletic, functional, live long, keep our metabolic and physiological status in check. And I don't think it'll compromise any performance whatsoever.